This is, so just to repeat, this is, I like using AI to continue the text. So I'm putting a little summary of the Chinese room, which is this thought experiment that sounds a little racist, but has been this thing to be an argument that large language models don't understand whatever it is that they're processing. Like, they sound human, but this is supposed to be a point to hammer home that they understood and know the words. It's just math. Well, first of all, like, nothing is just anything in this universe. Nothing is just anything in this universe. It's a highly complex universe. And perhaps maybe our consciousness is not that much of a flex, but it doesn't cheapen consciousness. It just makes weird of a mystery. Anyway, so I'm doing this, but I've also added, based on an interview by this researcher who's been working on the human genome for about 20 years, more than that, who is doing something called genomic etching, which is a way of mapping out, like, apparently all of the genetic structure in us that people once called junk is not junk. It's a part of a vast system of switches that turn on and off all the things to turn on and off in our genome. But each of those things, for each of our cells, each cell has a different language. Each cell has a different way of turning them on and interacting with other things. And they're mapping that out now. And it's mind-numbingly complex. In a way, it's ridiculous. Nature is ridiculous. But that's what it has to have to do for the billion or billions of years that it has, through no intention, just the flows of things, assembled the things needed to make complex life. Through no intention. Mysteries. So I like having the AI complete these texts that are kind of dissing it, to see, does it match the style? Will it eventually yield something that makes the original text better, bigger, more complexer, flesh it out more? Will it add to it instead of have this gap of understanding and entropy into nonsense, which most of generations of AI has done, except for these most recent generations that have fascinated the fuck out of me. I'm rambling, I'm sorry. Let's continue. So this is John Searle's Chinese room, but I added stuff about the genome to punch it up. Okay. Alright. Now that can...
Imagine a native English speaker who knows no Chinese locked in a room full of boxes of Chinese symbols, a database together with a book of instructions for manipulating the symbols to program. Imagine that people outside the room sending other Chinese symbols which, unknown to the person in the room, are questions in Chinese the input. And imagine that by following instructions in the program, the man in the room is able to pass out Chinese symbols which are correct answers to the questions he output. The program enables the person in the room to pass the Turing test for understanding Chinese, but he does not understand the word of Chinese. And in this native speaker's native genome that encodes a particular human individual, the latest in a series of thousands of hominids that have existed about 2 million years in an unbroken chain of fucking that links into the rest of biological life. And the genome had an even more convoluted procedure to perform. Like the programming instructions, it contains many loops in which a group of genes, i.e., Many MS execute one after another in succession, and which eventually causes something new like a gene with an unexpected purpose to occur. At one time, those loops took a couple of million years. If I take 3 million years for a simulated universe with 2 new genes like every 50,000 years and 800 million generations, the probability that every person I had in common with a British flight that occurred 75,000 years ago were also here in my simulations would turn up here in this computer simulation is the same as that which allows any single one of 368 quadrillion four-sided dice to land up pointing in exactly one direction 900 billion times in a row. With each individual represented in this way took 2 million years to appear since I started in the year 990. This means that on the average of just one chance in each century, my genetic makeup would contain exactly one more gene than all other humans until my age in life was 78,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 years. If there are 270,000 genes in me, there was statistically a 56% probability that my 60th ancestor had more genes than any other person since the birth of the race, which was just about 570,000 years ago. And those new genes I talked about will be expressed in more complicated ways every 2 million years. There may well be over 60 million four-letter genes, so every couple of million years you can expect a new variety. If it takes 600 generations and your guess is only good to the point of averaging your 2 million year estimate, you don't want to live long enough to discover yourself. You should consider yourself lucky. The vast majority of our ancestors will live only to 2,000,000,000,000,000 years or less. Perhaps you're confused by these two pairs of equations. The children. First is the parents. That was how mathematicians formulated the concept in the last century. Quite an interesting paper you might check out. So, but it is impossible to calculate the connection. Perhaps in some universes, parents were not their biological ancestors and children did not reproduce. One pair is the sequence in which humans breed and are bred. The other is the sequence of generations. But first we have our parents who pass the sequence of our genes by heritable information, mutation or drift onto us. Then our children to whom we also pass the sequence we had received by heritable information, mutation or drift. And then, in due time, the people they will also pass the sequence they received in return. It was another useful aspect of this reasoning that suggested that some people need never breed genetic copying continued, and the earlier I could arrange that people were thus excluded, the earlier I would become extinct and I would be preserved in essentially artificial manner in an evolutionary environment I had set up by design. This seemed reasonable because if I took it one step further and saved not the copies of genes, but the genes themselves, then there would be a permanent chain of conscious and semi-conscious individuals perpetuating an artificially kept river of self-conscious beings whose idea of paradise was a lifetime without change rules. I calculated that I would die between 2000 and 190 million years before I should expect to see an environment different from the one I started in. Adapting myself to the environment according to the chance rules of reproduction was going to cost me an enormous amount of time and energy. And this is definitely very little compared with my immense lifetimes in which the galaxies where I exist have changed not a bit. It is short and substantial one compared with my plans and desires for what I should do to the world with its enormous variety and even larger complexity when the present condition and evolutionary pace are arrested. No matter what these plans were an overwhelming necessity, they failed to realize that I simply knew that at every time moment some creature that included in its makeup in the form of information encoded in those millions of genes must have died because I didn't know what the person had known about evolution or death, or was because I had accidentally let the enemy due to them what it would be so useful to me to have it due to that hypothetical other being, this strangest species, whatever. An end with two legs at each end that wasn't exactly a boot, that wasn't exactly a foot, nor did they share a single name, and only one tongue and mind, nor did they belong to the same sort of intelligence. In short, the true intimacies that could develop between individuals of different species were denied us. Everything that could be a puzzle was removed. If he liked the food she wanted him to eat and was hot for her, he did not taste the menses for poison. They couldn't hear one another's cries. He didn't give her any kids in a time of ovulation, or wake her for a night's feed. They both did their own toilet, and had neither us nor his asshole reached. He scratched them apart. We talked and could still communicate in dreams, instinct-driven reveries, delusory brain-sinking underwater nightmares. Anyone who has gone diving into their dreams would be convinced that communicating without speaking is what intelligence really is. Dirt that wasn't entirely hard-packed, so the ground had lumps of soil where earthworms multifariously organic creatures were met. The air was not altogether fresh nor stale. As it happened, this was the farthest east this hominid had traveled, and it had yet to sleep underground and never come this close to death without managing to be sick to death. And now that I've thought about it, there might be enough hereabouts to fill a closet or two to a moderate thickness in which even without heat and oxygen these dead dwellers would still not feel their numbers dimming. Wishing too greatly indeed, they might go on breathing out there above the surface in all kinds of ingenious and plastic ways which you must ask zoologists to describe. And if there were humans at work in a group, they would come out at the appointed hour in an organized and relaxed state, ready for any sexual expression they might wish, each with one open nostril on which they concentrate for hours ahead of time. The signals that were meant to send them to us, and often just through the open side of the mouth, so as to watch the earthworm with the sending tenny extended. To the zoologist, such an obvious choice might seem obscene, amusing, or oddly or fascinatingly theory. To the non-breather, the person is nearly there, who will drink all they've been saving through their feet, mind open, no sincerity, part of the evening for that most exquisite liquid discharge known only as semen, or rather, for what makes this stuff appear in any known manner, or even physically to the sense of sight, in a job applying what any mother of her sons could tell you. A noxious paper, things noxious, some of which was translated to an older I don't miss. You see, I was feeling in an understandingly cross way.
Wait, hold on.
You get the point.
Is it just not saying these things? Hold on.
And through the slot, which slightly bulged as it inversely pooped out a
Biang. No, biang biang. It didn't say biang biang. I see. Okay, well, oh well.
and through the slot, which slightly bulged as it inversely pooped out a noxious vapor of things noxious, some of which was translated to an odor I don't miss. You see, I was feeling in an understandingly cross way. You get the point. Homo was making its own interpretation of life. Perhaps you guessed. A gas attack, so there had to be a person there where it would not exist. Well, almost like those photographs in National Geographic taken near the former concentration camps for Nazis after World War I. A dying gas. But dead might not be the right word, is not explanation, but something that goes on but cannot be described except by some recapitulating dolphin species. This was my third after an ideal going to an improvised factory, an assembly plant of ideas. No more space, stations with their finished out contents ejected into deep space. No more hunter-gatherer ships, illegal, the worse for wear from lack of decent resources and great fatigue. The cycle was at an end and time was ripe for action. I decided to build myself a personal atmospheric turbulence engine which was to serve as a limited way out of a deviation-damning shortcoming, but a simple enough answer to my many needs for self-empowerment solutions I didn't consider too flashy even though the beauty was, of course, not intended to be an end but a means for some future realization. And all at once a ball dropped out of the night with a modest 40 teratons of cyanide. The perfect cloud displays certain energy system buster opener on things and their relations. I loaded the machine up with my compressed electrical biosignatures and hydraulic representations. I swung it onto an orange parabolic orbit in a capsule filled with quick and smart discus flies. They were my fastest, my brightest, my toughest. We weren't the toughest, but we were going to make up for what we didn't have with grit and sneakiness. And I know it's a done, but I didn't come across the earth into its hard-packed guts to be spared on an edgeless stick while getting it rammed up me. Just a smell or imagine C diagram of relief for an explanation. Heavily armored, on there. But since it is there, he's doomed that is unestimating below countermines. One shot in the air from it will finish his world, so it's about time the poison takes its course and the east becomes as we talked about to the west, where is all the technology here make that machine culture. All in old order with its professional homo buildings like an 8-armed Chinese doctor that really didn't exist before I chose to arrange things one day because of a classical physicist friend of mine. Even if no one's got him now, what you could buy for anything up to, well, probably $6.35 right now or later from a booming peddler whose tribe could also perform abortions. Speaking of abortions, we get to buy an improbably designed hemorrhage machine when you use its afternoon blue, and we're still sure you would only come to terms with yourself, or that the standard control of life/death as perceived by you was won't carry, and not actually real at all, and never was, and may not even be very good, but has always worked in a satisfactory fashion anyway. Wow! Good morning, and let us hope you see through these sphincters all day long.
Alright. That was good. I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna start this back up again in a minute and do attempt 3. But this time, I think I'm done with the Amy Poehler-ish voice at this moment because that vocal fry or that treble is a little rough. Okay, right back.